Hello, hello! It's Business Partner B1 Plus. Unit 6, Entrepreneurs, Lesson 6.2, Young Entrepreneurs, Part B. We had part A of this lesson, talking about Traveloka, a website created by Perry Unardi and two friends, in which he left Harvard, started his business with his friends, and he's been successful since then. But if you like to learn more in depth how to use English, this video is for you. So stay until the end, because we are going to learn reported speech. We are going to practice that throughout many exercises, and we'll be able to speak better English in the end of the video. So stay with us, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's go. Last lesson we read that text I showed you, I've just shown you, and he talked about the development of his idea and the company. What do we have to do in the first exercise? We have to look at these three comments Perry Unardi made during the interview. They are in the text, but in a different way. How were these comments reported in the article? Because this is Perry Unardi saying, the company has partnerships with 33 airlines and hotels across Southeast Asia. And he also said, my other partner was a fellow intern at Microsoft. And in the end, or lastly, he said, did any business inspire you? And this was said not by Perry Unardi, but by the interviewer. We have to find these comments in the article. They were reported, or look, I'm talking to you, I'm speaking direct speech, but if I say what other person said, this is reported speech. Guess what he said? If I mention this way, I'll go to the game, I quoted what he said, so it's direct speech. But if I said he would go to the game, this is reported speech. So we have to find how these sayings were reported in the article. The first one, the company has partnerships with 33 airlines and hotels. And we scan the text for the number 33. Where is it? Do you remember? Have you found? Here. He told me the company had partnerships with 33 airlines and hotels across Southeast Asia. The second one was about his fellow partner, right? Look, he said his other partner had been a fellow intern at Microsoft. Here, when he speaks that, he was a fellow intern at Microsoft, right? And the last one, here, look, did any businesses inspire you? And he mentions two American websites. Do you remember them? Look, we definitely had a lot. Here. I asked him if any businesses had inspired them. Did any businesses inspire you? Look, if I quote, if I report that I say, I asked him if any businesses had inspired them. Well, this is how we report, right? But let's see in more depth what happened. What changes to verb tenses did the journalist make to report the interview? What changes to verb tenses did the journalist make to report the interview? The company has partnerships. He told me the company had partnerships. All right? My other partner had been a fellow intern at Microsoft. Did any business inspire you? I asked him if any businesses had inspired him or them, right? So the point is that the verb tense shifts back. If it's present, it goes to the past. If it is in the past, it goes to past of the past, that is past perfect. Or if it's, for example, verb will, how would it change? Let's take a look. Let's go to the grammar reference, reported speech, on page 123 of your book. Reported speech. When we tell someone what another person said, we usually change the verb tenses from direct speech. For example, I say in the present simple. I want to go to Harvard Business School. So we shift the verb in the present to past simple. She said that she wanted to go to Harvard Business School. Everybody would say that. Maybe not everybody, but you know. So the point is that it shifts to wanted. She still wants to go. But when you report, you say that it happens. It can happen this way in Portuguese. You can keep or put in the past. Present continuous goes to past continuous. Take a look at the change. I'm studying to be a software engineer. She said that she was studying to be a software engineer. All right, that's a wonderful career, by the way. Go for it. I'm just kidding when I report like someone who's gossiping, you see. Oh, it's very common in gossiping, but you don't gossip, do you? Look, when we have present perfect, it goes to past perfect. I've worked in the company for 3 years. She said that she had worked in the company for 3 years. But it's, look, I was joking about gossiping, but reported speech is something that is very common. You can use that, okay? All right, past simple goes to past perfect. I went to Paris on business. She said that she had been to Paris on business. All right. And modal verbs. Modal verbs also change. Can changes to could. Will changes to would. May changes to might. Must changes to had to. And so on. So, for example, we have here, I'll phone the client. She said that she would phone the client. We must finish the project on time. She said they had to finish the project on time. Oh, by the way, look, sometimes I read that, sometimes I don't. Why not? Because it isn't necessary. She said she would, look, there's a verb and there's another verb. So, well, it's a relative clause. Okay, this is a relative clause. It's related to the previous one. So we have sentence here with a verb, subject, and we have here. When we have the subject and the subject isn't the linking word, you don't have to say the linking word. Okay, if that would be the subject, you would have to keep it. But as you have another subject, you don't have to say the linking word that. Okay? But it's not reported speech. This is relative clauses. It's for another lesson. Forget about that. You just can say that, or you may not say that. Okay. We often use the verbs say and tell when reporting what someone said. Both verbs can be followed by a clause with or without that. You see? The verb tell needs an indirect object or an object pronoun before the clause. Look here. Tell. We must finish the project on time. She said that they had to finish the project on time. She told me that they had to finish the project on time. You see, if you tell someone, you need an indirect object. Okay, changes to personal pronouns and adverbs of time and place. Let's take a look. We often need to change the pronoun and the adverbs of time and place when we change from direct speech to reported speech. We spoke earlier today. He said that they had spoken earlier that day. Maybe you're telling the story 2 weeks later. So it isn't today anymore. It is that day when it was said. I'll phone tomorrow. She told me that she would phone the following day or the next day. Other common examples of adverbs of time include now, then, yesterday, the day before. Right? Adverbs of place also change. For example, here, there, this, that. Because probably you aren't reporting the situation at the same place. Okay? When we report what someone said on the same day, if a person says something which is still true, we can often retain the verb tense used in the direct speech. We launched the site in 2012. He told me that they launched the site in 2012. He told me that they had launched the site in 2012. So, when we reported what someone said on the same day, or if the person says something which is still true, we can keep the verb tense, okay? Reported questions. Ooh, something tricky. When reporting yes or no questions, we often use ask plus if or whether. Then change the verb tenses, pronouns, and adverbs of time and place if necessary. Look, do you enjoy? Is a yes or no question. Yes, I do. I enjoy it very much. Do you enjoy the work? Yes, I do. I asked him if he enjoyed the work. Do you enjoy the work? I asked him whether he enjoyed the work. Whether usually has a yes or no answer. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, he does. No, he doesn't. You see? Have you been back to Harvard? I asked him if he had been back to Harvard. Okay? Had been back to Harvard. I asked him whether he had been back to Harvard. When reporting WH questions, we use the same question word, the same WH or word, then change the verb tenses, pronouns and adverbs of time and places if necessary. But do we use the word not? Do we? Look, what do you like most about being an entrepreneur? I asked him what he liked most about being an entrepreneur. But notice, it isn't a question anymore. Is this a question? No, I asked him, I'm telling you. So it isn't a question, okay? So I asked him what he liked most about being an entrepreneur. Why has the business been such a success? I asked him why the business had been such a success. Notice that in questions in English, we put the auxiliary verb before the subject. Okay? In affirmative sentences, we don't use an auxiliary verb, or when we do use in affirmative questions or negative, we put the auxiliary verb after the subject. Okay? Note, we do not use question word order or question auxiliary verbs in reported questions. Okay, so you are reporting a question, but this is not a structure of a question. Okay, it's the structure of an affirmative sentence. That's important. It took me ages to get used to speak in the right order, because it was easy for me to say, I asked him, why had the business been such a success? But no, it isn't. I'm saying something. I'm not asking. So I'm saying that I asked, you see? So I asked him why the business had been such a success. That's it. All right, so after learning this, let's put it into practice. Look at some more statements Ferry Unardi made and questions the journalist asked during the interview. And let's choose the correct option in italics to complete the reported speech. Easy? Hard? Let's see, let's try together. Reported speech. My family don't understand what Traveloka does. So this is what he says. But now we are going to report that. He said, understand what Traveloka does. He said his family didn't. He said my family don't. We have to put this shifting to the past, and it's about what he said. So it isn't about my family. It's about his family, right? So he said his family didn't understand what Traveloka does. I won programming competitions as a child. He told I won, or he told he. But won is past simple, right? So it has to be shifted into the past. Won, had won. But look, it's verb tell. He told. If you tell someone. He told me. He had won, right? Programming competitions. Do you miss anything about being a student? I asked whether anything about being a student. I asked he, do you miss? I asked him if he missed. Right? Easy? Let's check. Ta-da! Let's go to the second part. E-commerce will grow quickly in Indonesia. He quickly in Indonesia. What's your answer? He said e-commerce would grow quickly in Indonesia. He told e-commerce grow quickly in Indonesia. Wow, the second one doesn't tell anybody. And if e-commerce it grows, right? I grow, it grows. So it has to be this one. And finally, how did you get funding? I ask it funding. I ask it, so it isn't if, but it's about how. I asked him, how did you get funding? I asked him how he had got funding. Did you get? Shift to the past. Past of the past, had got, right? How he had got funding. Ta-da! Okay, very nice. So let's go back. After these ones, we have a very interesting job interview for an internship. We have to complete what the candidate told his friend afterwards using his reported speech. So he goes to a job interview. They had the job interview, the candidate and the interviewer, and now back from the interview, he tells his friend. All right, so let's visit, because we have here the structure for reported speech, but we are going to listen the real interview. Pay attention, please.
Unit 6.
It's a bit loud. Sorry.
Recording 1. 1.
What do you like doing in your free time?
Aha, so when he tells his friend, look, the interviewer asked during in my free time, the point is that here we aren't going to say that, but we are going to say the interviewer asked me what I liked doing in my free time, or the interview asked what I liked doing in my free time. So this is it. Let me go back.
1.
What do you like doing in your free time?
2.
I like hanging out with friends.
All right. So his answer, I like hanging out with friends. I told the interviewer, I told her that I liked hanging out with friends.
3.
Do you have any previous work or voluntary experience?
Do you have? She asked me if I had any previous work or voluntary period. Okay? You can use the word whether. She asked me whether I had any previous work or voluntary. Right?
4.
I take the dog for a walk every day.
Oh, that's his version of voluntary work. I said that I took the dog for a walk every day.
5.
What do you think you'll be doing in 5 years' time?
She asked me what I will do or what I would do? What do you think you are going to do? You will be doing, right?
I take the dog for a walk every day.
Sorry.
5.
What do you think you'll be doing in 5 years' time?
What do you think? What I thought. What do you think you will be doing? What I thought I would be doing in 5 years' time. Right? And finally, 6.
6.
I've never thought about that.
There's a whole lesson on job interview questions. I'll try to find and put in a card. Let me see where we are in the video. 26 minutes. 26 minutes! Sorry for that. All right. I said I had never thought about that. Okay, my question basically is, look, do you think he got the internship? Why or why not? So the idea is for us to talk about this in the live lesson, whether he got or not the job. But to practice a little longer, what would we do? We would have to create, we have to create or put the words into reported speech. Listen about the young entrepreneurs and report it as a paragraph. Susanna told David that, oh look, I think there are some unique changes for young entrepreneurs like me. Okay, so Susanna told David that she thought there were some unique challenges for young entrepreneurs like her. Let's listen to this dialogue here, and then the idea is this. We have to put it into like a paragraph reporting the speech.
Unit 6. Optional extension activity. Recording 1.
I think there are some unique challenges for young entrepreneurs like me.
What do you think they are?
I had to find finance, which is harder because I had no experience. And I had to learn how to manage a team and be a good boss.
Do you think it's stressful?
It can be, but I have learned ways to deal with it.
All right. So Susanna told David that she thought, I think there are some unique challenges. That she thought there were some unique challenges. Right? Like me, like her. What do you think they are? David asked her what she thought they were. Right? I had to find finance. Susanna said that she had to find finance, which was harder because she had no experience. Had because it's past perfect of verb have, and it is had. And I had to learn how to manage, and she had had to learn how to manage a team and be a good boss. Do you think it's stressful? David asked her if she thought that it was stressful. Susanna said that it could be, but that she had learned ways to deal with it. Right? That's it. And finally, in this lesson, there's something interesting. That is a role play. What is a role play? Well, it's a situation in which we take roles and then we act those roles out. Students A and B, you are new entrepreneurs. So if there's a group with 4 students, 2 could be student entrepreneurs, and C and D, you are business journalists. Obviously, you can work as 2 new entrepreneurs and then as 2 business journalists, or alone doing the task. If you work alone, let's see what, or in 2 new entrepreneurs, or as a single one, let's think about the type of startup you own and 5 key things you want to tell a business journalist about your company. Do you remember that last lesson, 6.1, about Fairphone? There was a list of things that someone should think of about or think about before establishing a startup. So let's go back there, take a look, and come here with your ideas. But they aren't necessary. You can remember or create your own things that you would like to talk about your own startup. In the business journalist role, you're going to interview a new entrepreneur about his or her startup. Think of 5 questions you want to ask the business person. Okay, so you already have. So where was it established? What does it do? What's the core business? How did you have the idea of establishing or creating this startup? Questions like this. So you create, the first part is to create the 5 things to tell or the 5 things to ask. After that, A and C, B and D together, and they are going to role play the interviews in which you ask your 5 questions, you answer the 5 questions, but you try to tell your 5 things that you want to talk about your own startup. And then what do we have to do after that? We have to report back to your partner from exercise 10A, or you have to go back and tell what you did, what you said. So entrepreneurs discuss what you want the journalist to put in the article, and journalists, you decide what information will make an interesting article. Interesting. So you have to report. And after that, entrepreneurs, you write a short email to a friend reporting the interview. And journalists, you write a short article based on your interview. And of course, you have to use reported speech here. And here, if possible, you can tell your partner what the journalist had said, and then you discuss what you want to put in the article. You see, this is it. But it's a very practical lesson, and I hope you attend your lesson and have lots of fun and learn a lot about reported speech on this topic that is young entrepreneurs. You liked the video? Please strike the like button. And if you aren't a follower, subscribe to the channel, please. And it will make me happy, and it will lead this video to more people. And if you're really, really happy, why don't you buy me a cup of coffee? All right, but this is what we had for this video. We talked about reported speech connected to creating a new company or being a young entrepreneur. See you in the next video. Bye bye.